Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 88 today for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Season 5, and it is a real treat. 3 episodes in a row. It really is a great time of the year for you guys here. We're continuing on with the action. I'm sure this Grand Prix is going to be chaos. It always is, because especially with the way the game works with slipstreaming, it's going to be hopefully an overtaking fest, because, you know, the field spread is so close. We've seen that time and time again, and so around a track like this, and obviously later down the line at Monza, I think it's always going to be a pretty exciting one. But coming into this episode, then looking to make those durability upgrades, obviously, that we started to spend. Unfortunately, one of them did fail, so we had to repurchase that, and that comes in eventually. We've got 2 ultimate upgrades left on the durability side. Those cost a little bit much, so we can't quite afford them yet, but I would say probably about halfway through this season, we'll actually fully have the entire tree on R&D done, including that durability. So we will fully be basically to a point where we're just saving R&D points and saving money for any sort of reset that's going to come our way. But at the moment, 1-2 in the championship then, you know, but Gasly with the advantage. Of course, we did do some good work at Monaco to try and close that gap, as Gasly did fall back down the order, but it was a very weird one at Monaco. Ferrari really fell off the cliff in terms of pace during the race. We obviously saw the surprise shock. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, by the way, check that episode out. Monaco uploaded yesterday, but the shock result was Lance Stroll becoming the first repeat winner this season, winning for Racing Point again in that new Aston Martin liveried car of theirs, and he was the king of Monaco ahead of Carlos Sainz. So obviously Sainz gained some points on all of us, but Stroll catapulted Racing Point now into the forefront. And as I said, if they continue to upgrade, you know, as they have been doing at the start of this season, they could fully be here. You know, they've managed to really, I would say finesse, but also half kind of luck into 2 good positions where they've been able to, obviously with Stroll, have that track position and just defend that race lead. But I think soon we might see them legitimately being there and not just on some kind of weird alternative strategy. So it's going to be very weird, because you've got, you know, Ferrari are up there clearly, but they had a bit of an off race last time out. We as a team didn't exactly have an amazingly strong one. I recovered to a podium, but Gasly did fall away a little bit surprisingly. Then you've got Red Bull, which I really don't know what's happening with them. They look quick 1 minute and then they don't. McLaren, very slow start still, even though Lando Norris has been getting some results as of late. Still, as a whole, very slow start for them. And Mercedes, they started off really strong with that win, and then we haven't really seen too much. It's become the Mercedes of old from last season. So it's a bit of a weird one. Still don't really fully know where this championship is going, but of course now we're well into the second quarter of the season, obviously only having 16 rounds in this entire thing, so it's going to be crucial. Every race is very crucial. So we come into Azerbaijan. As I said, I think it's going to be an absolute roller coaster. No rain involved though, so that's a good thing from my side of things. It's a crazy enough race as it is in the dry, and of course we go into qualifying on Saturday looking to do the job on Q1. It's as obviously a simple job for us just to get through into the second part of qualifying there, but the car feeling decent. It's all about avoiding the curbs, I feel, with this circuit to try and go well. You know, you want to attack the circuit, and it invites you to kind of, you know, really bite in with the front end with all these 90-degree corners, but the real thing is you have to make sure you just about avoid the curbs and nail the apex to make it go, because if you go too much on the curb, you're going to kind of offset the car, you're going to kind of jump over it, and then if you go too wide, obviously you're just not going quick enough and you're not kind of committing enough. So it's very hard to thread the needle of the front end and make sure you're taking maximum of the track kind of distance in the layout, but at the same time not going overboard over very 3D curves. Pretty much every single one at this circuit is 3D in some kind of nature, so you're going to lose some time if you go over them. So it's all about avoiding those and just having a very smooth drive, really, to make sure that the kind of lap times there and kind of not overdrive it, I guess is the word. So in through to Q3. Q2 was not an issue for us. P2, so I'm looking good at the moment in the second part, but of course that doesn't really ever tell the full story for Q3. Obviously other teams sometimes don't really show up until the last part of qualifying, but we've got a very big skew with teammates here. We've got Sainz in P1, Ricciardo, shock for him to be knocked out in the other Red Bull in P11, Lance Stroll, last race's race winner, knocked out in P12. Sometimes that's what happens with Formula 1. You're brought right back down to reality and to earth. You know, you kind of get a bit of an ego check in this sport a lot of the time. So Stroll out in Q2, and then Hamilton out. He's been into Q3 for 2 episodes in a row now, so a bit of a shame, and he's massively off the pace to his teammate Verstappen, who's looking pretty good there in 3rd place with the Ferraris looking somewhat better, but Leclerc also down the order in P9. So, yeah, some discrepancy once again between teammates. Very odd to see. And again, as we've said time and time again, just with the maxed out cars, it seems like qualifying is anyone's game because these maxed out cars, they're so susceptible to mistakes and like AI, you know, one session could perform and one not. And it's the same thing with us, to be fair. Obviously, as we would make mistakes maybe on some laps, the same thing. It's good to see the AI can make mistakes and naturally kind of just, you know, get it wrong and get knocked out in that kind of regard. So we go through then into the crucial top 10 shootout. Unlike Monaco, we've thankfully got 2 sets of soft tyres, so we did only make it through on 1 set in the second part of qualifying. So we have this kind of banker in a way, but obviously we're still committing as much as we can at the moment. Lando Norris goes fastest, but of course it's the very start of this session, so it remains to be seen what the true pecking order is going to be like on this first run. A little bit of hesitation there into the castle section. Very tricky to kind of get it right, especially with these cars. They come in so quickly into that corner now. It's so easy to overcook it in the castle section and get it all wrong. But at the moment, I think I saw that was Alexander Albon looking very quick there. I think he may have been top of the session there, so that's absolutely bonkers. So let's see how this goes then. There's maybe another very weird and bizarre top 10 shootout as we now come through for our second flyer. We've only gained about just under 2 tenths there. We're down in P6 and 7 as a team, myself and Gasly. So out of nowhere, everyone is sped up. We're looking pretty good in terms of compared to our Q2 lap time, but everyone else has gone so much quicker. We only gained about 1/10 at the end of it in the last sector, and it's going to be P8. I'm left in the same sort of baffled state as we were back at Australia in round 1, where we qualified kind of around here, didn't we? Myself and Gasly at Melbourne. And you've got Lando Norris on pole position, and the McLaren's finally turning up this season. Not surprised at this circuit, to be fair, because we know from last season, those McLarens really love tracks like these, where there's just a lot of straight line. They can abuse their kind of very slippery car, it would seem. But Alexander Albon, mega stuff for Racing Point there, to be up in second place, where his 2-time race-winning teammate was knocked out in Q2. That's bonkers. And then Sainz doing a very good job, to be fair, compared to the rest of us then. In comparison, P4, the 2 Ferraris, Verstappen out qualifies is very, very odd. And I don't really have any answers to that. Maybe just it's simple. A track like this, other cars are making the most of it with less drag, maybe more engine power. I don't know. This maybe doesn't bode well for us later down the line at Monza, but we can't really do much. This is where the car is. You know, I pretty much did the same sort of lap time I did in Q2, so this is where we are. So it might be a bit of a race on the back foot potentially, but in the race with Slipstream, I know we can definitely make up for it. We're not going to be stuck here, I don't think. So let's go to the grid and see how we do.
And a warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today, so our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully away from the barriers. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of Turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position, just edging out Alexander Albon, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Sainz, Antonio Giovinazzi and Leclerc, Verstappen, the owner driver, Gasly and Sergio Perez, Ricciardo, Stroll, Lewis Hamilton and Matsushita, Bottas, Kvyat, Nicholas Latifi and George Russell, Aitken, De Vries, Magnussen and Mick Schumacher. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So today we're going to have to really hope on that F1 game Slipstream coming in clutch to help us kind of get up the order, because it would seem like we just don't have actually any pace maybe. So maybe our car is a lot slower in a straight line than we kind of want it to. Obviously we do know from looking at the R&D charts, Renault aren't the best power unit anymore, but McLaren are up there, so maybe their car is just less draggy. Obviously that's just a base characteristic maybe of that car that we just can't achieve with the My Team car, and of course we don't really have anywhere to go now in terms of R&D, so we might just have to firm it and hope for some good race pace here today. But it's going to be a very weird one in terms of race strategy, because I'm being recommended a 2-stop, even though last season and the season before the 1-stop was the way to go, was the better way to go, and was also the quicker one, because you get track position, you don't get stuck in traffic. So we're having to shape that strategy ourselves in the kind of screen here and do it manually, and I guess we'll just see. I mean, there's got to be a reason the game and our engineer is recommending this to us, but I don't really think so. I think we'll go with that usual 1-stop from soft to hards, and hopefully jump some people that are maybe doing that 2-stop strategy. But in a season where all the cars are so close together, every single point counts, so let's go out there and just try and do the best job we can as we go to 5 red lights here for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and we're underway for 26 laps around Baku, and it's a great start compared to Leclerc. Managed to jump in, but into turn 1, getting pinched on the inside by Verstappen, and then the rear end on the curb just offset the car. The back end goes out, and we lose all the ground we made up there. Gasly and Leclerc both re-overtake us, so a very annoying kind of situation into turn 1. Probably should have seen it coming, because we've had that before where we've been pinched into that apex, but obviously we had such a good start on the left-hand side, we had to go to the inside of turn 1, because Leclerc wasn't really giving us much room on the right, so it was the only way I could really go, unfortunately. So we have to kind of recompose ourselves and look to re-pass Leclerc and Gasly. Meanwhile now, as we cut later on then, so not much happened on lap 1 for us, but on to lap number 2, you've got Stroll and Ricciardo going side by side. So these two obviously knocked out in Q2, Ricciardo P10 and Stroll P12, and they're now doing battle, trying to get track position to maybe have a go at the rest of the top 10 basically. It's a great scrap as it continues on now for a few corners and straights here, and Stroll finally gets that down the inside and showing the Racing Point car truly does have some decent race pace this season. But at the moment then, in the race lead is Lando Norris. Then you've got Esteban Ocon in second place, so it's a 1-2 for McLaren, and Carlos Sainz is in third place. So Alexander Albon, he qualified really well in second place in that other Racing Point, but he's down to P4. What a poor start for him to lose 2 positions there. And at the same time of that, his teammate is doing the opposite, going forwards, overtaking Ricciardo, and now on to the end of lap number 2, on to 3. He's on the back of me, so Stroll has really caught up quite rapidly. Look at that, he goes for the move on that little right-hander kink, and we have to give him some space to work with there, and it's a drag race, and look at this, it really is just so close, neck and neck nearly, as we go towards the brake zone. He gets a bit of an advantage, and then under braking, he has that, he's got way more confidence on the brakes than I do on heavy fuel on lap number 3, so we're still at it then. He's on the outside, we're going to try and open up the steering wheel a little bit there, squeeze him out nicely, get to the racing line, wide onto the wall, and he's unable to make the move, so we can hopefully hold station a little bit, but for how much longer can we really do that? Meanwhile now, back at the front, and maybe Albon been listening to us, because he's now making moves, and he's got back past Carlos Sainz, so it's now Norris in the lead from Ocon second place, Albon, Sainz, and then for P5, there's a battle going on between Antonio Giovinazzi and Verstappen. I think the Mercedes car, of course, remember, was behind both Ferraris, so Verstappen's been making moves. He's already got past Leclerc, and now he's on the outside of the Italian. A very nice move on the outside, but can the Ferrari do anything to come back? Looks like the other Ferrari might, as Leclerc is able to get a brilliant toe. He's overtaken his teammate, and now he goes on the outside of Verstappen, so Leclerc gets a 2-for-1 overtake done, and those guys are fighting so hard that they've slowed each other up to the point where here we are now in P9. We're caught back up to Gasly, and we're right there. I can see the 2 Ferraris ahead of me, and you've got Stroll and Ricciardo also along for the ride, so it's become a kind of a 7-car train in a way from P5 backwards, as now Stroll is on the back of me there. You can see him in the left-hand side mirror up the road. Gasly overtakes Giovinazzi, so once again the Ferraris are going backwards in the race as we now try to make a move, and Stroll goes for it as well. We're 3 abreast into turn 1, and look at Stroll go. He's absolutely finessed us both. We have to go to the inside there, because if I tried to make the move on Giovinazzi on the outside, which would have been the better place, it's a better kind of way to be into turn 1, I would have crashed smashed into a kind of forced Stroll off the circuit, so I had to go to the inside, but in doing that, we went 3 wide, and as I said, the outside's actually the better place to be, and Stroll just waltzed around the outside, and he's got both of us, so instead of overtaking a car in the form of Giovinazzi, which I did, I still lost the position, so I kind of stayed put where I was, and Stroll is really making a huge charge. He's up into P7 now, so clearly got the bit between his teeth, disappointed about Q2 being knocked out yesterday, and of course, coming off the back of a race win, you would be very disappointed, so he's really gunning for it, and he's now past our teammate, and speaking of, we're going to try and catch up to Gasly. He's looking a bit slow here. Obviously, we've got DRS and a good run on him. He was a bit wobbly on the corners building up to the main straight, and so we're up into P7 then with a easy does it overtake in a straight line. But remember, he's now going to get the second bite of the cherry, unfortunately, so he'll have a chance to re-slipstream us as we go down this straight to the next left-hander, which is 90 degrees, very tricky, and he's actually just walked past us there. Even though we're deploying ERS, we give him some room to work with, and we're maybe just going to overtake that as we squeeze through on the right. Oh, it's so close on the side pod there. It's really Monaco all over again, but this time with Gasly with a top 5, and now Ricciardo is getting involved. What's going on here? I'm being attacked left, right, and centre. It's turning into a bit of Formula 1 ping pong here. What is going on? This has been an absolute roller coaster of a race. It really has. How did we get attacked by Look at this. How is that even possible? We were side by side with Gasly and somehow I end up 3 wide with Giovinazzi and Ricciardo. That's insane. Bonkers action. And I lose out in it again by going 3 wide with 2 cars I wasn't even racing at the start of that kind of little battle. And so now we've got to go on and try and re-overtake Giovinazzi. We maintained the position on Ricciardo at least because he got completely squeezed out. But Gio able to slip through, and so we're up into P7 now as the pit stop window opens. Gasly is in for his stop on that lap. We continue on for at least 1 more, I would say, just to make our kind of, the strategy call we had at the very start of the race. But like I said, I was surprised at the suggestion at a 2 stop, and so it looks like a lot of us are going to do the 1 stop onto hard tyres. But there are a few out there that will do the 2 stop, I think, today. So there is a chance to maybe jump some people and at least have track position on them at the end of the Grand Prix, and then we'll see if we're fast enough on the hards to kind of keep the position. But as we exit our pit box, our teammate is in the pits again, and it's because of this. So we're going to cut straight to a replay, and this is why. This is after Gasly's first pit stop, and as soon as he comes out, he gets hit by a Williams car that kind of chops him off. He went a little bit too frantically into that left-hander, but at the same time, I feel like the Williams car, again, these slower cars, especially the Williams, Alfa Romeo, and Haas, they're so far off the rest of us. They're so slow that there's no need for them to be that aggressive with people for position because they're always going to lose the position anyway. So Gasly, his entire race is now ruined. That's really annoying and upsetting for him and the team as well, remember, because, it is a very tight season. Every point, I think, is going to matter, even for the constructors. So that's not what you want to see. So it's an early pit stop and pretty much his entire race ruined for Gasly, but that does mean individually we have a good chance of maybe getting even more points on him and closing that gap up further in the championship early doors. And speaking about the slow traffic, we're once again met with Nicholas Latifi in the Alfa Romeo car. I don't know what it is now. I hardly have seen his AI in this entire career mode, to be honest. In the last 3 episodes, we've always met him on track somehow there. We did it in Monaco, and obviously we had the first incident at the Spanish Grand Prix. This time we get the job done, really squeeze him out into the apex and make sure we've got the position. P12, some clean air now to breathe and hopefully push in clean air. But at the moment, it's still then Lando Norris in the lead. But look at this. Second place is Carlos Sainz, but he is on a set of soft tyres. So that's going to be very intriguing. But the other McLaren is also on softs. On mediums rather. So you've got Norris on hard, so he's going to the end. You've got Hamilton in P4 at the moment. He's yet to pit from the hard he started on, and then Albon behind him on a set of hard. So you've got Norris and Albon in the kind of top fight on hard tyres, and Sainz and Ocon both are going to stop again. So Albon has got a good chance of redemption here, regaining P2 on the road, and then behind you've obviously got Verstappen closing up to an Alpine car. The other Alpine of Mashasita, this is going side by side with Leclerc. Leclerc tries to overtake the French car on the inside, and there's yellow flags as the virtual safety car is called out, as I believe a Haas is out of the Grand Prix. So the virtual safety car is now ending on the end of lap 11. It was very confusing. I didn't quite know if it was green flags fully here, so I was accelerating as the timer went on the right-hand side, and I'm just hoping we don't have any penalty there. But we're in P12 at the moment, and we're closing up to Bottas, and then there up the road as well is Matsushita, who was the Alpine that got overtaken by the Ferrari just then before the virtual safety car. So here we go now, making the move on the Finn, who's having a bit of a torrid time. Really, AlphaTauri as a whole, being very lucky as a whole, not being as quick as they maybe were last season, but I think a lot of bad luck's kind of played into it. Perez having some issues in many of these races, but we're now closing up to the Alpine car. The Japanese driver Matsushita, we've seen him a fair few times actually this season as well. We're seeing a lot more of the other drivers that I don't have not normally seen, which is weird because, I mean, it's not like these slower cars have really caught up any more to us top cars in a way. It's just the way the kind of races have panned out, as we have a very, very bold squeeze there with him on the outside, but we're able to get up into P10, no bother, as now he goes and scraps Bottas behind, and we try and see if we can hang on to the back of Leclerc. And it's actually the other Alpine car of Danica Fiat who's going to help us out here, because he's actually holding up Leclerc. These two yet to pit in this Grand Prix, like we saw with Hamilton, who's way up in P4. Yellow flags up ahead. What's going on here? No cars that I can see going slow right now, but up ahead there is a car going slow, and it's Lance Stroll. What's going wrong? He's very slow. I think he's got a puncture or an issue there, as we now slipstream Leclerc, who's very on the left there. I was surprised how far that AI was on that left-hand side, but we're now side by side with the man in the Ferrari. On the outside we go, and we've made the overtake just about. No, Leclerc backed out with a dive bomb, but we go for this switchback, and he's gone way too deep into that. It's a textbook switchback move from us, as we just catch him unawares and going far too deep in aggressive into that left-hander, and we get the jump on the Ferrari, but it's still got to overtake Kvyat then up the road. But this is why Stroll then was so slow with an issue. Oh my, what a crash for Lance Stroll. Oh my word, this sport really does bring you back down to earth when you've just flown high. As Stroll just loses it on the curb, and it's a high-speed crash into the wall, loses his front wing. He's still in the Grand Prix, to be fair, and he can make his second stop and just try and firm it to the end now on a set of hard tyres again. But yeah, frustrating times then for the most recent race winners. We now go ahead and finally overtake the Russian around the outside of the Alpine. Bit of a lock up on the front left, but we're just trying to jockey for position mid-apex, and then we squeeze him and get back to the racing line in the middle of the circuit to block him off. And so with that, we're up into P6, but for how long can we be this high? Because I think we've gained a few extra positions due to the two stoppers, and also the people like Hamilton, who are yet to pit, and he's now finally made that one and only pit stop of his from hards to the soft compound. He's one of the few on softs out there in this race, and with 6 laps to go, he's pressurizing us, and we nearly deck it into the wall there with a bad lock-up on the front left, so much so that Hamilton gets it down the inside. We don't want to fight him too much though, but he locks up and invites the switchback. I just said I didn't want to fight him, but he's going so slow here that we have to try and re-overtake him. We're now neck and neck. We're having to lift off to give him the room, otherwise there's going to be some sort of horrendous crash there. So Hamilton slowing us up. We're going to go for the repass on the right-hand side there. He's without DRS. Leclerc also comes through. It's 3 wide. Leclerc and myself have now both overtaken Hamilton, and we're now looking to try and outbrake Leclerc. We've outbroken ourselves. We're close to the wall. Oh, that was inches away from disaster there. We nearly took ourselves out on the right-hand side with that right-hand barrier in red, and I actually think Hamilton has actually got some damage off that. Oh my god, I'm so sorry to him. I didn't mean it. FI have thought nothing of it. They don't blame me for a racing incident, but I think Hamilton nicked my rear end as I came back on circuit. It was the only way I could come back on circuit, otherwise I was just going to go straight into that wall. But unfortunately, Hamilton has been dealt some bad luck again. This time it's actually directly for me this time. Oh, that's so bad. He was going to be up into P6, you would say, with the soft compound. So Hamilton looking like another 0 points finish. That is, I actually feel really bad for him, because he's had a torrid time obviously for the last kind of 3 seasons now. But back to the racing action now in the last few laps But back to the racing now in the last few laps of this Grand Prix. Here goes Ocon now. These two, remember, on the 2-stop, and they're fighting for P3 and P4 respectively. And Ocon, the long way round, he's got the move done, and he's up into P3 on the medium tyres. I mean, both of them on the mediums, but of course, remember, Sainz actually went to a set of soft tyres for that second stop of his. So very aggressive from the Red Bull car, but it looks like the McLaren is the quicker of the two, and he's actually now caught up to Albon. Rapid time. This is on the very next lap, so Ocon flying high, and the McLaren's looking so strong, because now that is a 1-2 for McLaren. Norris is dominating this race. Ocon up into second place, and Albon now in third, and he's going to have to defend for his life from the Red Bull car, because that Red Bull is looking very quick, and the same can be said of Ricciardo, the other Red Bull, coming through also on the 2-stop. So both Red Bulls going aggressive with the tyre strategy, and Ricciardo now is, well, he's past us. He's simply walked past us, even though we're deploying ERS down that entire straight. Ricciardo is absolutely rapid on those mediums. He overtook Giovinazzi there, and it was a very simple edit of just him just getting past us very simply. So there we have it. So we're now on to the last lap of this Grand Prix in P8, looking just to defend from Giovinazzi in the last sector. Lando Norris has indeed crossed the line to win once again in Formula 1, and McLaren win their first race of the season. But meanwhile, the fight for P3, this is it. On the last sector, Sainz looking for the slingshot overtake there. He pulls through on the left-hand side. It's a drag race, and on the finish, Sainz gets it on the last bit of the race. Sainz puts himself up onto the podium slot in P3. Albon, unfortunately, down to P4 on the very last bit of the straight. And the same might happen here between myself, Giovinazzi, and it's Lance Stroll we have to look at, because he's flying with DRS. He's got the double toe. He's overtaken the Ferrari, and he doesn't quite get us. But Albon overtakes Giovinazzi at the line. Wow, what an ending. But it's Lando Norris that wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Yeah, boy! Yes! I'm so out of breath.
Mate,
Oh, man.
Brilliant stuff from McLaren today. What a superb victory. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight.
So it's taken them a while this season to really heat up, but McLaren finally showing they've got some pace, and they're not to be forgotten this season with a 1-2 there. That is a way you kickstart your season after 4 very kind of iffy rounds, I guess you could say there. But Norris again leading the team this season as he did last season there, with Ocon in second. Sainz, the reigning champion, the man who beat Lando Norris for the championship last season, doing a good job in third place. Great last-minute overtake on the last lap, and Sainz, you know, with the consistency, he's found himself now in second place with Gasly out the points. He still leads the championship by only 1 measly point to Sainz, who, remember, is yet to win this season. He's in second place, and Leclerc is yet to win this season, and he's in third, and myself as well in fourth place. So it really is this season about consistency. It doesn't really matter if you have a win, because as long as you get the points compared to everyone else, you know, because the field is so close that you could easily find yourself in a position like we did today, where we're in P8, even though last race we were up into P3. So it's all about consistency. Of course, the wins matter. That's a massive amount of points, but Sainz and Leclerc showing that they're doing a good job to keep the pressure on Gasly. And to be fair, that also shows also on the other side, if there are races like today where Gasly gets finessed out of position, someone has a mechanical issue, it's going to be a massive blow this season than any other season if you have a retirement or DNF of some some kind. So that's a real big important thing to look at as we go on through this season. The constructors, though, Red Bull get back up into 3rd place there, so doing some good work. McLaren catapult themselves up into P5, and they're very close now to Racing Point in terms of points. So even though Mercedes started off strong, they kind of slipped back to kind of where they were in the last 2 seasons points-wise, but that's because all their points have been gotten by Verstappen. Hamilton's yet to score this season. He's on 0 points. Verstappen scored all those, so you would think, actually, if Hamilton was just as good as Verstappen, Mercedes would be right up there, so it's a bit of a shame, and we'll see how it progresses. I'm kind of hoping for their sake and for the championship kind of fight between that mid-pack of Racing Point, McLaren, and them, I guess I would say, you know, that they can both start to score and actually give us a bit of a fight there for P4 in the championship. But a very topsy-turvy, and as I said at the start, a roller coaster race at Baku. Guys, if you did enjoy that one, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. A tough day in the office for us there with the car just not having the pace, but next time is Canada, one of my favourite circuits, and here's hoping with the kind of higher speed corners, maybe that will bring our car back into the fight. Till then, goodbye.